School, ISD 701, February 7th, 3:30 PM at the boardroom to order. I'd like to welcome everybody here. With that, we'll move to item 2, Pledge of Allegiance. Please stand if you wish.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 3. It's to elect a new chair pro tem due to the vacancy caused by the passing of one of our board members, Director Nyberg. I think we'll handle this the same way since it would have been part of the reorganization meeting. So I'll just call for nominations.
I'll nominate Kim McLaughlin. Pro temp.
Are there any other nominations? Are there any other nominations? Hearing none, is there a motion to elect Director McLaughlin? All support. Any discussions? Hearing none, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign.
Can I vote?
Motion carries. You can abstain, I guess, if you want.
Too late, we already.
Four?
Yes.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Just be on the meetings.
But that does open up the treasurer's position.
And that being said, since it wouldn't be on the agenda, we didn't know what was going to happen. So the next meeting, we'll appoint a treasurer to take the place of Director, that was Director McLaughlin's previous thing. And at the same time, during that meeting, we can take a look at the committee spots that are open. Those are just an appointed position anyway, so. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 4, motion to approve the agenda.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll go to item 5, motion to approve the consent agenda.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director DeBarty. Any discussion?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I saw on D1 and 2, we both have Maggie Iverson, and looking at the dates, I just wanted to make sure. So she did take the role of the secretary and then is now going back to her pupil position, is that correct?
Yes, so it's in the AFSCME contract, they can try a position. They have a trial period, so she gave it a trial and chose to return to her own position, her old position.
Okay, so now on the next meeting, that secretary position will be opened again, correct? And then posted?
Yes, so it's actually was already opened.
Okay.
I believe they already interviewed.
Oh,
I believe, or maybe they're interviewing this week. So we should have a recommendation at the next meeting.
And I saw that this is at the high school. Is this in downstairs or is this in the office up here with the vice principal?
This is Carrie Fox, her old position at door 12.
Okay.
Yep.
That's fine.
Thank you. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 6, public comment. Rick?
We have none, Mr. Chair.
With that, we'll move to item 7, administrative reports. Start with the directors.
You know what, I just want to thank everybody for the Jacket Jamboree week. It seemed like it was a fun week watching it at some of the events and also on Facebook. And then, you know what, I just want to commend the students of the month at all of our elementary schools. Those get posted, and I think those young people do a lot of good things, and when they get their behavior points, so I think sometimes that goes a little bit unrecognized. So kudos to them. And the other thing is, I don't know if I mentioned this at the last meeting, but congratulating the spelling bee participants at the Lincoln. I had an opportunity to sit in with the judges on that, and I think they challenged Principal Gabarty and Athletic Director Turner and myself and some of them. But, you know, watching those young people, not only, I mean, were they impressive spellers, but the way they stood up and went to that microphone and just talked so confidently. So it was really an awesome event, and the 2 finalists will go on to the service co-op in the middle of the month and participate. And to Alex Steeney and all that made it possible. It was a wonderful event. My last thing is a little bit of an update on our 100th anniversary celebration. First of all, to thank Alex for setting up a PayPal account. Hopefully the donations are going to come flooding into the school. I'm thrilled we confirmed with Bethany McLean. She'll be here on speaking Monday, July 7th, 7th or 8th, Monday, July 8th. So she's a 1988 alumni. Thursday is Jimmy Hyde, who was the drummer with Eddie Rabbitt, July 11. And what else? Oh, and our superintendent, on behalf of the schools, sent a letter to invite Bob Dylan to participate. I've been getting emails from alumni from across the country, hoping that he would come back and finish that song on stage. So we'll see what happens. So thank you for doing that.
And he is touring during that time, I believe.
Yeah,
I think he's got some touring dates in the spring, so maybe he'll be in our area.
So if anybody has any input or connections, there might be somebody that can help us, and yeah, that would be awesome.
And he can have free admission and sit on that bench out there for pictures.
And he can play on the stage as long as he wants.
Bring that organ back.
There you go. That's all I have to think.
Well, thank you. And that, speaking of spelling bee in the service co-op, we get a lot of favorable, not advertising, but comments on that, including the Knowledge Bowl. There's big interest across the region, so that's a good thing there. Thank you. And with that, we'll go to the Student Director, Christian.
I know that's under the report, like Director McLaughlin said, Jacket Jamboree Week was a lot of fun. There's a lot of activities going on, and I know all our sports teams did pretty well throughout that whole week too, for the games they had. Aside from
Excuse me,
that,
could you turn sideways a bit so the TV can,
oh yeah.
so you would be famous?
Aside from that, I know I spoke with Mrs. Sikora after the last meeting regarding some ACT information for the senior high kids in the high school. And one thing that we sort of discussed was how it's promoted throughout the high school and how there's also additional opportunities to test after on your own, aside from just one time in the high school. You can go online and register and test in the area. I think Virginia has a testing center in different spots just close to us. So kind of making that a bit more noticeable, available to the senior high kids. I know a message was sent out, I think, that following week regarding that information and putting out a bit more. So, yeah. Otherwise, that's it.
Thank you.
Very good, thank
Christian,
you.
can I ask a question? I think, if my memory serves me, the PSAT test, that might be in 10th grade or 11th grade?
Yeah, so there's sort of like differences in the test because the ACT is a bit more for our region, where the SAT is, I believe that's the East Coast, or the coasts are the SATs. And then sort of Midwest is more of an ACT region. So the PSAT is just kind of a preparatory for the SAT, just to see where you're at. They're a little different tests, but they cover the same subjects. So I'm pretty sure if you want, you can take the SAT up here, but I think it's a bit farther, like International Falls is where they have the testing centers. But yeah, I know that's offered.
But I just want to encourage, like, the 10th, if it's 10th or 11th grade, to make sure you take the PSAT test, because that's the first hurdle of becoming a National Merit Scholar, and that's quite an award. So I think sometimes students don't hear about that enough. It's, you know, kind of takes a little backseat to ACT and SAT tests. So any younger, I think it's 10th or 11th grade, I would encourage them to look into that.
I think it's 10. I could be wrong. I took it, but I don't remember which year I took it. It is 10th or 11th.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I took it too, but I can't remember.
Do you happen to know when the deadline is for finalizing all of the scholarships? I know messages go out, I guess I haven't seen any recently, but I'm sure
I know-
seniors get updates.
I'm not sure on the exact deadline, but I know I think there's still scholarships being added to the database by the counselors, and they're still working to provide more scholarship opportunities. Most colleges would probably want scholarships done, I would assume, sometime near spring. So they have time to consider everything and go into admissions over the summer. But I'm not sure on the exact dates, I can check though.
Very good. With that, we'll move to item B, administrators. Turn it over to Superintendent Rick.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Chair. We have Mr. Glad from Building and Grounds, and we have Ms. Husko from our Early Learning Center. So whoever'd like to go first, you go right ahead.
Chair, members of the board, thank you for having me. Good to see everybody in person again. Just a couple quick updates for you. I know it seems kind of crazy, but June's only 3 months away, or summer's only 3 months away. Our summer projects are going to start. A couple of the bigger bidding projects we have coming this year are the remodel and update to the Cheever Owens Fieldhouse. Basically going to make it watertight, redo the bathrooms, make sure they're ADA compliant, redo the concession stand, put a little addition on just to make it fit better for the needs out there right now. Also add a couple little seating areas behind both sets of bleachers so people can sit. I saw a lot of people that were looking for places to sit last year out there at our event, so they'll have somewhere to sit and talk and eat and do whatever they'd like. The other one is a roof section at the Lincoln. That's the last section that's out of warranty over there, so we'll get that wrapped up and that building will be good to go. Lots of other small projects, of course, happening. Placing a lot of window coverings at the Washington, upgrading to the new roller style. Going to start repainting the corridors at the high school. Going to start on the ground floor. Just work our way up, small sections at a time. That hasn't been done since 1970, so that'll brighten things up quite a bit. Got about 500 feet of sidewalk to replace between all the schools as well. So be busy summer, of course, again. A couple things we're currently working on. Our fire marshal reports. We had our 3-year inspection last in December. Working on closing those out right now. I should have those all wrapped up in the next month or so. Inspections went very well. Very minimal, nothing hot topic items, so it was good. It was very good. Indoor air quality walkthroughs are scheduled for February 13th. We sent a survey out to our staff. I think the end of the year last year, end of December. Basically, we walk through every classroom, gives them the opportunity to say if they have any questions or concerns. We go through every room and speak with every staff member, and they have the chance to tell us what's good, what's bad, or the other. So that's coming up. Next health and safety meeting scheduled for the beginning of March. A couple exciting things we have going are recently Mr. Gabarty and I presented to the Lake Country Power Board for grants that we applied for at the beginning of the school year. We were 2 of the finalists. Mine was on indoor air quality for the high school and his was on the Lincoln playground. So we should have some answers if we made it. We'll get you funding for the next month or so. The other one, we've begun the preconceptual planning and design for a couple bigger projects. One is for the Greenhaven Elementary, planning on remodeling all the classrooms and flex spaces in 2025. And also a remodel to the 91 edition update, moving around the welding shop, auto shop, art rooms, weight room, just to try to make it fit better and make more sense. So that funding is going to be coming from that IRRB that I hope you all approve tonight. And again, that's all very early design phase there. We'll be meeting with staff over the next several months if that's approved and finding out what's going to work for them, what their needs and wants are, and come up with a plan that works for everybody. So that's what we have happening.
Did you ever hear from the city administrator about the field house? No. I just remember I had that conversation with you that he had mentioned to me that he was going to get with you. So when you mentioned the field house, I just thought maybe there was possibility of funding from the city or collaborating on that, since that's kind of what he talked about, but maybe it wasn't in their budget after they had their meeting in December, I'm not quite sure.
I know we are gonna connect here very soon. I think at the chamber dinner, there was some conversation about us collaborating more with the city and meeting and talking. So Paul Peltier, who's the Rams director, was gonna kind of lead that conversation a bit and try to set us up some meeting times. Might include some board members when we get a little bit further on, but they do want to sit down and talk. And we do so much together. We have so many agreements, you know, all the big power, all the baseball, the memorial building, SROs. We do a lot with the city, so it would be, and this board has reached out a few times to have some joint meetings, and it just has never come to fruition, so hopefully we can get there. But at the very least, it would be the city administrator, myself, some of the other city officials meeting and talking, but I told Paul I'd like to include at least one board member, so you're hearing the same thing that I'm hearing at their table. So when I get some more info, I'll share that with you. But I wanted to add too with what Tyler had said, you know, coming up later in the agenda, there's a resolution to accept funds from the IRRB, and this, what Tyler's speaking to, is kind of a culmination of probably about 4 years of work that we've been doing. Came to fruition last year. The municipal legislature in the 23 session allotted Hibbing $8 million for projects that are capital or long-term facility maintenance. So it's not salaries, it's not people, it's not positions, but it's maintenance to our buildings. So we had to submit some projects, get some pre-approval. So we've been working on this for probably the project phase for at least a year.
Yeah.
But we finally got notification the other day that we can start drawing these dollars if we have invoices that align with the requirements of the grant. So later on, again, if the board approves this resolution to accept funds, Tyler and I are going to start submitting some of our expenses and get some reimbursement here. And we have to be fully reimbursed and use that fund completely by
26. So let's get to work.
So let's get to work. So some of the design phase in that, we haven't shared with the board yet because it was all just a draft and rough.
Yeah.
But that should be coming here, I think, in the next month. So I'll have more info on that for you very soon also.
That's kind of exciting to
It's super
hear about
exciting.
like the buildings that you were talking about getting
Yeah.
redesigned.
Definitely, they
Yeah.
need it, you know, especially Greenhaven. Washington was done, Lincoln was done, Greenhaven's all mostly original, you know, so. It'll be good, it's a good thing, exciting.
So does the work in this building have to go through the Historical Society to get approval for it?
Yes, it will.
So actually, I have another question when you talk about the Greenhaven and with these funds, since it's already been decided or talking about moving graves, is this an opportunity in the funds where there could be more classrooms added to the Greenhaven, where in the future you could move 4th and then 8th to the Lincoln Inn?
Possibly. I mean, so the Greenhaven projects, you know, if we were planning for 2nd and 3rd grade being there, we were looking at the classroom space. And every classroom has a small bathroom. Every classroom has a partition, like a chalkboard between the coat room and between the classrooms. So what we were looking at is like opening up that space and making, you know, getting more square footage because we're thinking bigger kids.
Go to each classroom, yeah.
Now, and just as an example, there was a small addition that when we were talking in this building, there was a small addition that was proposed by the architect off the southwest corner of the building, going out towards the Memorial Building parking lot. And just that small addition was $1 million.
Yeah.
So it used, like, the classroom is probably about $1 million if you were going to add a classroom. So we had budgeted $2 million for the Greenhaven to do all these classroom remodels. I think if we were gonna add physical space to any of our buildings, we'd have to have a bigger conversation, because it's gonna get super expensive.
We eat up a lot of that budget. yes.
Yeah.
But we'll see what it looks like and what Mr. Bestel over there, the needs are for him, and make a plan.
Would there be anything we could do inside of the Lincoln School to create enough classrooms? I don't know how many you would need to create, reconfigure space so that 8th graders would fit
At the
into the
Lincoln?
Lincoln?
Not really. They're packed over there. I know there was some talk about eliminating the swimming pool at one time, but yeah, that didn't seem to go anywhere, and that's really the only place inside the building itself.
We had talked about the pool that's sat dormant for a year and a half, and we had talked about what do we do with that space, but we made a decision to get the pool back up and running, and the swimming program that we're creating for those kids and just in the district is awesome, so I don't think that's an option, but
No.
Yeah.
Well, back then, there were 7th, 8th, and 9th in Lincoln, and 7th, 8th, and 9th over here, because split for boundaries for transportation, so that would, the classrooms were split up. Same with Greenhaven, that was 2 kindergarten classes, then one wing was 1st, 2nd, and 3rd grade, and the other
Sure.
wing was 4th, 5th, and 6th, so, but then with all remodeling done for, like, HVAC systems and stuff, that they had to take up some of them too, so it's kind of a catch-22.
well, we're gonna increase student levels at the Greenhaven, will probably go up to about 320 students, 330 students, where they're currently at 235.
Yeah.
The second grade class is about 160, the third grade class is about 160, so we're actually gonna have more people in that
Yeah.
space.
Yep. So we'll see how it goes, like you said.
Well, I think again, we're talking about a lot of steps that aren't in place yet, and I apologize, I'm sure a lot of this seems like we don't have our head on straight, or we don't know where we're going with this, but we're really waiting on that March 1 deadline to figure out who we're talking about with staff, and who is gonna retire. And the plan would be, soon after that, I'll have a visual depiction for the board and the public, so we know where we're going, and we can ask some more questions.
Very
Thank
good.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You know what, this might be a little bit of Tyler, but a little bit of Kurt. Has the registration, I've seen the signs, the registration for like the early learning center, maybe Mandy's gonna talk about that. Okay, get that question, sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so I had a PowerPoint, but it doesn't work. I can't get the computer to attach, so I'm just gonna talk. And then I will share my presentation with the board members after. If you guys have questions or not, you can look it over and let me know. So I think when Carrie was here presenting, there was a question that brought up about the classroom engagement model at the Early Learning Center. So that's basically what I'm going to talk about. So the classroom engagement model is an initiative that is federally funded, and it talks about different ways to engage children. It uses data to make decisions, it collaborates, and it engages individual children. So we'll just go over. Okay, so it's a framework that uses recommended practices to improve engagement, social relationships, and independence for children with and without disabilities to promote full participation of every child in the classroom setting. Through training and coaching, practitioners will increase their ability to engage all children, learn strategies to engage individual children, generate ideas for teaming and collaboration, and expand their understanding of how to use data to drive instructions and interventions. Classroom engagement model benefits children with disabilities, as well as typically developing children, and can be implemented in typical education classrooms and inclusion programs and special ed classrooms. So it's a way of engaging students, keeping them in the classroom, not pulling kids out for services, kind of pushing in and involving all the services in one room. So why the classroom engagement model is important: it focuses on improving engagement and promoting full participation of every child in the classroom setting. It emphasizes teaming and collaboration to embed opportunities to learn and practice goals into the daily routines. And they learn strategies to implement research-based practices to promote engagement. When children are actively engaged in their environment, they interact with others, and it leads them to increasing their levels of learning. So that's basically what. And children with disabilities are harder to engage, but with classroom engagement model, they don't miss out on those opportunities because it's all embedded into one environment. Improved engagement results in more pleasant classroom environments than that is conductive to learning and less compliance oriented. There's a map that I had in there. There's about 30, in the whole state of Minnesota, there's different regions that have classroom engagement models and that are using the initiative. There's about 30 different sites that use it. It's a federally funded program, so it goes off of we have a 5-year, what's it called, JPA, Joint Powers Agreement. So we have funds that help us do the trainings, do the different things that are involved with classroom engagement model. This is year 2 of our implementation. Last year they started, and 2022 was their first year. They trained 25 staff members, including all the teachers, paras, and related services. They had 2 coaches last year that coached. One of the coaches coached 3 classroom teams, and one of the coaches coached 2 classroom teams. The coaching is very similar to the what the teachers do, the peer review, the peer observation that the teachers do. We still do that also, but the coaching is very similar to that, but it's much more in depth than the peer observation. So this year, we have trained all of our new staff, including any new teachers, paras, or related services. They're almost fully trained. I think Friday's their last training. There's 4 coaches. So we have 5 staff members that are being coached, all the classroom teachers. We have 1 lead teacher that is at Fidelity, which means she has made to her checkpoints and implementing the classroom engagement model best practices. And then we have 3 of our teachers that are expanding their use of these best practices. So when they are coached, we have a classroom, or we have a checklist training that we went to, and they have a big long checklist of everything that they have to do within their classroom to get to Fidelity. So, and all that information is also on, we can print off graphs of every year of what the data brings us, like where are they, how many kids are at this checkpoint, whether it's parallel play or whatever it might be, so.
Ms. Usko?
Yep.
Can I ask, how do the teachers feel about this training? Do they think it's valuable?
Yep. So at the end, I included a bunch of teacher quotes and different things from the staff. So they think it should be, because it's kind of like, could be in K-5 to be exact, and they think it's just a great way to get the kids engaged and get the special ed kids involved in not having this, because there's a quote in here from Emily Freeman, the speech language assistant, and she just loves that she can go into the classroom, work with her student that she needs to be working with, but if she sees another student that might need some assistance, and she can also help them in that time. So they're not just tied to that student because it's there. So it is a very good initiative, and when I did it in Hill City last year too, they absolutely love it. So yeah, the teachers they don't complain about the trainings. I mean, on days that right now, like on Friday, we have 5 people out for trainings. So it's a lot of people out, but it's only 8:30 to 12:30 is the time, so then they come back. But we have subs for all of them on Friday, so that's good. But so it's a lot of training because there's 5 modules that they go through. And last year when they did it in year 1, they took those days off because they had to train the whole early learning center staff. So there's no way they could have school and those training days. So this year we just send we have 2 teachers and 3 paras that are getting trained this year in it.
So can you give, when you talk about the classroom engagement model, what's an example of that? You shared a lot of information,
Yep.
but what does this actually look like?
So there's so in the classroom engagement model, and I'll get to that too, but there is top 10 practices that they focus on, that they work on the trainings. So routines, can't read it, it's so small. Zoning, embedded goals, individualized supports, family engagement, active participation, friendship skills, incidental teaching, data, and teaming and collaboration. So those are the 10 things that they work on. So like routines. So how can you build routines within routines for like little kids? So when they're getting their jacket on to go home, what else can you have them do? Like, so, and then a lot of visuals and picture schedules and different things like that. Zoning, like they have 3 people in each classroom. Who has this zone to watch A, B, and C? And when Johnny goes into a different zone, make sure someone's alerted. So kids are always being observed by someone in their zone, and maybe if they're having a situation in the free choice area or the kitchen area, they might have to change their zoning to make sure a different person's in there or the kids that are in there have something else to play with. So just like kind of, well, I shouldn't say this because I'm a teacher, but I thought the training was a lot of what I already knew as a teacher, but the paras necessarily aren't teachers, so it's a lot of good information for them. Does that help? So there's some examples in my quotes when I get to those.
Sure, and that's what I figured you
Yep.
probably did, because I'm listening to this and it all sounds great, but I'm trying to picture like how this actually looks and how you're bringing, when you talk about this is for all students, special ed or non-special ed, you know, to be more engaged. How are they becoming more engaged in the information that you just shared?
Yes, so
Yeah.
in different, and then they all have to make a zoning schedule and a different schedule of when, let's say, Emily's in their room for a speech. So where is Emily going to be zoned? Who is she going to be watching? So each kid is getting, basically has their own IEP in a sense. We do matrices for all the kids, and so they have their own way of getting their goals embedded and how they're meeting each thing that they need to meet. Make sense? It'd be a lot easier if I could show you it on the
Yeah.
board. So I will share it with you after, but. Okay, so it's a 5-year agreement that we have, and we're about in the initial implementation stage, getting into the full implementation stage. This talks about like the different years and what we go through. Nothing really about the engagement that you need to know, but we have a team that is called our implementation team. And there's about 11 of us. It's myself, classroom teachers, special ed teachers. We have this Betsy Rust. She's our professional development facilitator from the region that we're in, and she comes in to all of our meetings and helps us direct those meetings. And we have paras on there, and we have a family rep. So it's a variety of different people. We meet once a month. We talk about our action plan, which would be a lot easier if I can show you different things that we want to work on throughout the year, data, and just bounce ideas off each other. So like what is working, what isn't working, what do we need to do for a family engagement idea, what can we do to collaborate more with Head Start, how can we get more parents involved, different things like that. So just like another meeting. Yep, so then we have the top 10 practices. The staff is trained on all of those. And then this year what we did is we took those top 10 practices that I read you about routines, zonings, embedded goals, those 10s, and we based our PLCs off of those. So we had the teachers and the paraprofessionals, we did a hot dot activity, pick which ones they would want to learn more about to refresh their memories. And then at those PLCs that are dedicated to the classroom engagement model, we have like teachers present a little mini lesson on that routines. And then the teachers can talk with their team about how they're going to implement more routines in their classroom. So we use all of our PLCs, just about all of them are classroom engagement model. This year we really focused on our visual schedules, embedding the classroom engagement model observations, checklist data into our PLCs, which I just talked about, working with the special ed staff to embed any IEP goals for special ed kids into their daily structure. So sitting at the table for snack, okay, so a little kiddo has a tough time saying the sound R. So we're talking at snack time, okay, so now the teacher is going to just talk about different ways that they could say the sound R. Or maybe they're working on a social skill about how to ask their friend for their snack. So just like how they're incidental teaching throughout the day. And we spent 2 PLCs actually with the SPED teachers, talking with each classroom and how to embed those goals and different resources for those teachers to use in the classroom to help with that. But it's truly for student engagement. To keep those students engaged is basically what we're working on at preschool. We're not trying to get them to do math or reading at a higher level. We just want them to be engaged and with their peers, and that's what we're trying to get them to do. Not looking to an adult all the time and wanting an adult to do it for them. You know, trying to initiate the play, initiate the putting on their snow pants and trying to get ready to go outside, just getting them engaged in everything you do throughout the day. So some things that have led to our success with using classroom engagement model: administration support and collaboration from the special education staff, using Head Start and school readiness, PLC times dedicated to this classroom engagement model, and then monthly coaches meetings where the coaches meet together with who they had observed or just with the coaches to talk about what they learned, what they could do better, and just kind of reflect. I did a survey for my teachers on classroom engagement model this year and how it was going so far, and some of the things that, what is the best thing that has happened in your classroom because of classroom engagement models. All teachers are trained on the same best practice, common language, practices, and visuals are used across all classrooms. We have developed individualized engagement plans for children and have the data to show they work. Collaboration from the general ed, special ed, related services, and PSAs. Children receive services and students with varying abilities are included in everyday preparation and planning, and students are more engaged, therefore they are learning. So those are just a couple things. And then I have some lengthier quotes. If you want me to read them, I can, but they're kind of lengthy on what they are. But I'm going to read Emily Freeman's about speech, because she just said, the classroom engagement model provides our speech language services throughout push-in model. It helps the students stay with peers and their environment where they recognize and become familiar with classroom expectations and socializing with peers while facilitated by the speech language pathologist. I find this helps reaching their language objectives and hitting social emotional skills at the same time. It also helps SPED teams to overlap objectives, helping kiddos even more. So just making sure that they're getting the goals they need and what they need to meet in the classroom and not always taking them out. Sometimes with speech, they obviously take them out if they're working on a sound and the kid is distracted in there. But if you go into any classroom in my building, there's probably 5 adults in there at a time. There are 3 classroom adults and a special ed teacher, or one of the PT or OTs are in there working with the kids. So there's always, they're just, and then they obviously can help the other kids too if they see something that needs to be helped. Yeah, 5 trainings. I'm just making sure I hit it out. Yep, so what's next is this is year 2 of the implementation. We're going to just continue to implement and coach until we hit, till all of our coaches and teachers hit fidelity. And we're going to take and get input from the staff and make our way towards full implementation. So that takes up to 5 years. So we could take up to 5 years for that. Sarah, did I answer any of your questions? Any other questions before I just do a quick update on special dates like Kim was asking for at the ELC? Okay, preschool registration, we're going to have opening on Monday, 12th, just for the preschool, not for the ECFE yet. So that will be a little bit later, but we're going to do 2 3-year-old classrooms again, an AM and a PM, and then an all-day 4-year-old classroom. That starts at 8 a.m. on Monday. Registration will be opened. March 21st, we're doing a Males and Me event. March 4th and 6th are conferences for us, and then April 11th we're planning to do a mom's night out. So those are just some of the important dates coming up for the ELC as well. Any questions? I'll share this slideshow with you and it will make a lot more sense then. If you have questions, you can email me and I'll be glad to. And again, any of you can come and see a classroom and how it's worked and how the engagement model is used in everyday classroom.
Very good, nice presentation, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Scope.
With that, we'll move to item C, any committee reports. Hearing none, we'll move to item 8, administrative business. Turn it over to Sir Alex.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
Item A is a motion to adopt a resolution authorizing ISD 701 Hibbing to make application to and accept funds for the Educational Facility Revenue Bond Series 2023 from the IRRRB.
I'll move.
Cheryl.
Support.
Oh, okay.
Support.
Moved by Director Polter, supported by Director McLaughlin. Any discussion?
Yeah. Quick question. This is just no strings attached, no, we need to consolidate, collaborate, whatever the words are?
So our application, our projects have already been approved, so there should be no other strings attached.
Perfect.
Okay. Thank you, that sounds encouraging. Is there, well, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you.
Item B is a motion to approve policy number 606, textbooks, instructional materials, and library materials.
So moved.
Moved by Director McLaughlin, supported by Director Polter. Any discussion?
Yeah,
Go
so
ahead.
reading through this, it keeps talking about the superintendent's designee. Who is your designee? It talks about, so just like even on the first page, it says to ensure the library materials fulfill this role, the school board delegates to the superintendent or the superintendent's designee. So in this case, it's yours, but throughout this policy, it mentions superintendent's designee. I was just curious who that was.
Well, I would look at that as like any of our administrators, any of our teachers could possibly be my designee, so
So you don't really have,
I wouldn't have a
one.
name.
Yeah.
I don't think I have to name somebody. It's,
So there would, yeah, it could be anybody at any given time.
correct. Yeah. It might be a secretary that might be helping with, I mean, so it's, yeah, it could be a lot of different.
So you're not limited to. Yeah, right?
Like a librarian, if it related to library
Correct.
yeah,
materials.
I mean, I kind of assumed that's
Yeah.
the librarian was gonna be, but I didn't want to make the assumption. The other question I had here is in that same paragraph, it says parents and guardians have the right and responsibility to determine their children's access to textbooks, instruction materials, and library materials. So I guess one of my questions, because I know a few years ago, we ran into an issue where a student did opt out of a textbook, was given a different book to read. But I guess when a teacher selects a book, if there are words, I'm not sure how to present this, just a book that may be controversial, are parents notified? Do the teachers depend on their own student to say, hey, this is the book that we're reading, this is what I've come across, or?
I think parents would be notified in a teacher's syllabus on like the course material, and then they'd have an opportunity, because every parent should be signing that says they read it, and so I think that'd be their chance to ask questions and say.
So they say in the syllabus, they already know the books that they're going to be
They
reading
do.
in class, and they provide that.
They do, yeah. Or they might say, it might say, here's my syllabus, the reading list for second semester is coming out. I mean, but they do share the material that they're gonna read with the parents, yes. Or the list of the material, yes.
Okay.
Good questions. Anything else? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried, thank you. Go ahead.
Item C is an appointment by the chair of 2 directors to sign and distribute the 2024 high school diplomas.
First director will be Director Duarte. You have an interest in that?
Yes.
Okay. Either Kim or Jeff?
I've done it, I'd be happy to do it, it's an honor, but if somebody else wants to,
I'm reserving next year.
sure, I'll do it.
Okay, thank you. It'll be Director McLaughlin, Director Duarte, they'll sign the diplomas. And it's not limited to if other board members want to sit on the stage with them or something like that too, but you can pass out the, normally if somebody has a relative or friend or whatever, it's a nice thing to have. So,
Sure, and I might add, I mean, that might be something depending upon what Principal Sikora chooses to do at graduation, just because this is the 100th graduating class, supposedly to walk across the stage or drive by, I guess,
Sure.
right, the 1 year, so depending upon what they do.
yeah, we'll play that one later. So, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carried. Thank you. With that, we'll move to item 9, discussion items, Mr. Superintendent.
I don't have anything else, Mr. Chair, unless you have questions for me.
With that, we'll move to item 10, Director Polter.
No, we received that email this week about discontinuing with Chisholm on the shared,
Oh,
on
the
the AD.
The athletic or AD services, yes.
So, I know in the email it mentioned that we were dissolving just that part of our collaboration due to budgets.
Correct.
Our budget, not Chisholm budget, correct?
Correct.
And I guess I just wanted to ask, just to be sure, because I know at the last board meeting, Mr. Turner spoke here and had some comments that there were a few things that he'd like to see changed and whatnot. And I just want to make sure, because we did work so hard in this collaboration with Chisholm, that whatever those were that he discussed with you, were discussed and looked at, and rather than just saying it's easier just to cut off that tie with Chisholm.
Yep.
Because I don't want us to ruin that relationship, and it doesn't sound like this is, but yes, we have to make those budget cuts, so it certainly does make sense, but I just want to make sure that it wasn't easier just to say, hey, we're going to do it for budgets, if there were issues that we didn't talk about and discuss. And I know that, that was part of the collaboration committee. I don't know if dissolving this was then discussed with the collaboration committee, or if it should have been, or whatnot. I just wanted to have some conversation around that.
Well, the recommendation, it was not forced upon Keith to make this he came forward with it. It was his, free and clear. We discussed lots of different ways to make some reductions, and that was one of them.
Yeah.
But I think to answer your question, there was definitely more thought and more working with Mr. Baki, talking through it as a recommendation from Keith. It wasn't just a top-down, we're going to cut $20,000. This was something that he was proposing, Keith proposed. So.
And then because this was part of the collaboration and ties with us getting money from the IRRB, correct? The collaboration?
It's not.
It isn't.
No. That's a little bit of a misconception, I think. I think
thought
that was out there years ago.
That was part of why we were doing all of what we were doing, no?
No, and I actually tried to say that out loud many, many times, that we're not doing this just to get money.
No, I'm not saying it's
Oh.
strictly the only reason why we were doing it. I'm just saying that was kind of icing on the cake to do that, right? Is the IRRB wanted there to be some collaboration.
Well, like in the funds that we're going to receive from your last resolution, that is not tied to anything with any collaboration with Chisholm, those funds.
Yes.
I think if we were going after additional funds from the IRRB from their consolidation account, then yes, absolutely, we have to have strong ties with them to go after those funds. But we're not pursuing those dollars. Chisholm isn't interested in pursuing those dollars today, so.
So I'm glad that you said that, because I kind of thought that we were.
So like, for instance, there was and I can't think of what the name of the fund is, but it's basically a consolidation fund. So those dollars is what Evelyn and Virginia went after, and they're 100 million, 50 million, I can't remember what they got, but we're not going, we weren't moving towards that direction.
Yeah.
Okay, very good. Now, Director Polter.
Motion to adjourn.
No objection, meeting is adjourned, it's 4:20. I'd like to thank everybody here for coming.
Thank you.